particularly for fisheries scientists. We all know collecting data is crucial, full stop. And so is turning that data into information and turning that information into stories. Our audience, not just ourselves in this room, I'm talking about the policymakers, the high school students, and everybody that we want to get our message to. We have an obligation to make sure that our hard work reaches those wider audiences. And one of the best ways we can do that is through storytelling.
Yeah, sure. All right, so we are going to be spending the next 40, maybe plus minutes demonstrating a few different ways of communicating some findings. So first off, we'll go through a few examples of our own work, our own research, our own findings, and we'll speak to, let's just say, a fisheries biology and management audience. Then we're going to demonstrate the same exact findings, but using some creative ways of engaging our audience. So we're going to look at multi-sensory experiences to help you understand our data, understand our findings in a different way, maybe a deeper way, a more connected way. We will also lean into storytelling. Storytelling is not just a way to spend time and a way to capture attention. We as humans are really evolved to retain information that comes from stories. So we're going to use those three methods. First is showing you our data. Second, we'll do a multi-sensory experience, which is going to involve a little bit of help. And then we will show you, we'll share some stories, some personal stories of our own that can demonstrate a deeper way of connecting with your wider audiences. Because at this time, both of the previous speakers showed us just showing the data, showing the numbers, showing the trend, it's not enough. We're obligated also to do a really good job of communicating our sciences to other people, other audiences. And sometimes that means going a little bit further, spending a little more time crafting your message, thinking about different ways of learning, different ways of remembering. So buckle up.
Maybe sometimes out of our own comfort zone, and then suddenly we find that it was rewarding after all.
You will not forget the next 40 minutes.
I love it. All right, so first we're going to start with a couple of examples from research that we have been involved in. First we'll start with an animal that's come up a couple times today already, the magnificent American eel. I'm very happy that the American Fisheries Society just this last summer published a great study on our community science project that many people in this room are a part of, where teams of trained volunteers, science professionals, teachers, high school students, retirees, whomever, go out in the spring, check small fight nets, cone-shaped nets in tributary mouths to collect glass eels, baby eels on their way from ocean to estuary to tributary. They catch these eels every day, they count them, and then they let them go so they can continue on with their journey. Absolutely beautiful thing to do. It's also an interesting thing because it's a community science project. One of the strengths of that is that we're able to expand spatially. We're able to go beyond the realms that just us as DEC fish biologists can cover, and we're able to cover a whole 100-mile span of the Hudson River estuary between New York City and almost to Albany. So when we look at those findings, though, we're like, great, let's check them out. And then when we looked at them, 6 different sites, the data was all over the place. It goes up and down and up and down. And it didn't match site to site. And it didn't match year to year. Basically, what we do when we look at this is we say that yes, although we have good spatial variability, good temporal variability, when we look at just comparing one site to itself, or one year to the next in one site, it's very hard to see any kind of trend line. But when we put those metrics together, when we overlay all of those sites together, instead of looking at a site-by-site comparison, we consider the estuary as a system. Then we start to see those trend lines that we were talking about earlier. You can see that between 2010 and 2022, we do have a bumpy, generally increasing trend line. Even though site to site, we have tremendous variability. Okay. That's one way to explain this information. But let's say I wanted to explain this with a little more creativity. All right, we're gonna try something out. I need 6 volunteers. What are we gonna do? I'm not gonna tell you. Do I have 6? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get up here, Frank. One more. 6 in the corner. Get on up here. All right. Come on over here. Yeah, let's hear it for our volunteers. They have no idea what they're doing, okay? Here is our x-axis. It will be this rope. Everybody get behind this line for now. Beautiful. One end of this rope, represented by our good friend Amanda Higgs. Come on over here, Amanda Higgs. Amanda Higgs, I would like you to represent 2010. You mind standing here at 2010? Beautiful. Shannon, can I borrow you? Beautiful. Look at this. We're talking about eels, but we're bracketed by some of the best sturgeon people in the business, right? Can you represent 2022? Excellent. Now, the rest of you, my friends, each of you represents one site. All right? Doesn't matter what site. Take a minute to look at your graph. Notice they all just get one site. No cheating going on here. Totally random. I've never met most of you ever before, so this is terrific. All right. Then what happened? Oh, shoot. Here, you take Shannon's job. Great. Excellent. Kicked off. Now, we're going to give... Yeah, let's hear for Shannon. All right. We're going to hand out flashlights. You have a choice in your flashlight. Blinding white, oh my gosh! Or slightly subtler red. Okay? We'll see what we want to do here. Who doesn't have a flash? Excellent. Okay. Now, with your flashlight, you're going to be indicating where your data is. So I'm going to have you move in a second. But first, let's think of our y-axis. The lowest we're going to be will be at our hip. So if we're at the bottom of the y-axis, show me the light at your hip. And shine it out at the audience so they can see it. Yep, shine it out, shine it straight out. Shine it straight out at the audience. Yeah. There you go. Right on, yeah. Pick somebody. Maybe we'll switch to red because it'll probably be a little nicer to people. All right? You like that? Yeah, yeah. Now, if your data is at the top of your line, hey Frank, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good, excellent. If your data is the top of your y-axis, the highest you can go is Frank's head. So everybody, show us if it's the top of the y-axis, a high here. You can go up to Frank's head if you want. Okay, great. Oh, that's really good. Look at Frank's head. Okay, that's awesome. All right, very, very good. Beautiful. Okay, hands down. Now the hard part. You're all spread out, but we're going to go year by year. This is like a weird Fisheries twister game right now. You're all going to start at 2010. Everybody gather in here together. That's right, in a weird twister. And now, I want you to get in even closer. If you have to crouch down, show us where your 2010 is, and go ahead and reach your hand out so you're shining at the audience. Yeah, turn your red lights on. Let's put on red. That way we won't kill anybody's redness. Okay. All right. Find your red. Get in even a little closer if you can. Yeah. All right. This is good. Now, when we get started, I'm going to be behind you, and I'm going to very creepily be the timekeeper, and we're going to go 2011 and step to the left a little bit. 2012, step to the left a little bit. 2013, step to the left. Okay. We're going to go all the way to 2022. You guys ready? Amanda, are you ready? I'm ready. Person I've never met before. Are you ready? Oh, superb. Excellent. Kenji, Jim the lights. Dun, 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 dun. Jim the Moore! Dun, dun, dun. Jim the Moore, Kenji! Oh, I like that. I think this is good. All right, we're in good shape. All right, get closer. Everybody get to your year. Remember, you should be in a vertical line to the best you can. Here we go. Small step to the left for 2011. Everybody move. Oh, yes. And change to your 2011. Small step to the left for 2012. 2013. 2014. 2015, halfway at 2016, a little to the left. Now, stay in that tight group. 2017, 2018, 2019. Keep stepping left, though. 2020, COVID year, what's going on? 2021, and finally, 2022. Whoa, now hold that line for a second. Amanda, I'd like you to pick your end of the rope up, please. Whereabouts did they start, would you say?
Down.
Yeah, so hold that low. And, oh, thank you, Maija. Maija, where did everybody end?
Around here.
So now, even though we were bouncing all over the place, when we look at the whole picture, we see this beautiful trend line over time. At least for the sampling period that we've covered, we have been seeing a rising ingress of American eels in the lower Hudson River. Let's hear it for our estuary players! Good job. Yeah, we'll take the flashlights. You're welcome to keep the data if you like. What? No takers? Don't like that. Good job, Frank.
All right, Bouncer.
Yeah, Maija, what's up?
You know, I love eels.
Yeah, but they're not the only critter in town.
But before we move to my critter,
Oh, of course.
would you like to tell us?
I forgot about my story. So we also love to tell things in stories. Special shout out to Hannah, by the way. Look at that great blue fingernail polish. Hannah, we see you. So very early in the project, we would do, and we still do these things called eelibrations, where at the end of the spring season, but before the school year lets out, we'll gather all the volunteers together at a site, and we'll get some pizza and some ice cream, and we'll have a PowerPoint show about eel data. You can't imagine how excited the high school students are to watch my PowerPoints about eel data. They're really into it. So, very early in the project, mid-2000s, I'm down at the waterfront. We're doing a PowerPoint. I'm like, look at all of this sites. Look at all of this great data. And you can just see the high school students sitting there like, yeah, whatever. And I'm trying to like really get them enthused. And then I finally show this one slide that shows, look at the increase in eels in just the last few years. And how many eels did we catch this year? And I think that year we caught something like 1,500 eels, which isn't even that many eels. But they don't know that. And there's silence across the crowd. And then one little voice, the son, the 6-year-old son of our favorite commercial fisherman, John Maija, suddenly this little 6-year-old voice rings out, "That's a lot of eels, Chris Bowser!" And the place just fell to pieces. And all of my charts in the world didn't make it as memorable as little Jaden Mylod telling us what the true story was. So thank you, Jaden, and thank you, Hannah, and thank you to our estuary players.
All right, so now we have another example of some data we'd like to share. And again, 3 different methods of communicating that data. So this is from a recently published study recording the first ever spawning vocalizations of Atlantic sturgeon in the Hudson River. We're very excited about this. You're going to get a chance to hear the sounds of the thunderous rumble of this endangered species vocalizing during one of its most important kind of moments in its life history. So we had a team of researchers, educators, students, management folks that worked together with our Hudson River Fisheries unit to combine data, combine efforts, and we have multiple beautiful examples of the singing or the calling or the thundering of Atlantic sturgeon. So our study location is here on the Hudson, roughly river mile 80, 85, which is up from New York City. And the way that we capture this data is by using passive acoustics. So it's essentially a microphone below the water, or a hydrophone that's listening or recording for long periods of time and hearing all of the sounds that are below the water. So we were very excited to have this recording. So now what you're looking at is some of our data, our findings. So we're seeing a spectrogram, which is a visual representation of a sound. On the vertical axis, you're seeing higher frequencies or higher noises at the top, lower frequencies or lower noises at the bottom. And this goes through time, so you can see there's a bright red area that lasts about a second in the middle of this time series. And then you're seeing many colors, right? We have a rainbow of colors here. The blue means very little pressure, meaning very little sound, or maybe even no sound at all. It's quiet, it's blue. Anywhere you're seeing yellow, it's a medium sound. And then red is loud, okay? So what we're seeing here is a very loud, low rumble. Very low rumble, okay? So this was exciting to us. We found many examples of this loud, low rumbling in the Hudson. And we suspected, based on other sturgeon species, that this is probably coming from the Atlantic sturgeon because it's so low and because it's so distinct, such a distinct sound. And we were able to species verify with a hydrophone recording in tank at the Bear Bluffs fishery with a spawning sturgeon, Atlantic sturgeon, from another location. So very excited to have the first described and recorded Atlantic sturgeon spawning thunder sound. All right, there you go, fisheries audience. Now we're going to try something else. I would love to have 3 volunteers that are willing to come up on stage with me. You don't have to sing, you don't have to rumble. I'll make it easy on you, I promise. And we're going to have a maritime, it's a band, let's say, a maritime trio. All right, so let me see a show of hands of people who would be willing to come up and give me some help with this. I got Kenji here. Do you have a fish shirt on?
I do.
You'll work. And I'll take one more, let's see. Anybody wearing a watch cap? Anybody out here with a red watch cap? Oh, there we go. Let's come up.
Oh, come on down.
Yep.
Excited? Me too. All right. Okay, so we've got these 3 folks up here. You're going to choose an instrument. So go and find your
Stand behind your
instrument.
instrument. Yeah.
And what I'm showing you now is just a variable frequency spectrogram. It's showing you a sound going over time. We're going to bin these noises into kind of 3 broad bins. We have a high sound, a medium sound, and a low sound, represented by, if anybody knows why I chose these instruments, these 3, the whistle, the bell, and the gong, extra points. All right, so we're going to try them out, though, and let me know if you figure out why we have a whistle, a bell, and a gong in a little bit. Let's just try it. Can we see? We're not going to go through the whole thing. We're just going to try out our sounds. We're calibrating our instruments, right? We're tuning up the band. Our whistle. Give us a sound. Okay, so bold. You got more in you? You want to give it a nice? There we go. All right, we got the bosun's whistle. Sounds good. All right, and up here on the midship, we got our watchman.
Oh, I see what you did.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. All right.
Is it dinner time?
All right, Kenji, give it a try. Let's see what we got here. That's very nice. That's very nice. All right, so we got our pitches, right? We got high, medium, and low. Let's try for soft, quiet, and then let's try a loud. Let's see if we can get like a little variation. So how about Kenji, give us a real quiet. Nice.
Quiet gong.
Quiet gong.
Always a real
Lovely. All right, let's get a loud bell. All right, and let's get a quiet whistle. Okay, all right. They're ready, right? Okay, what I'm going to show you now is real data recorded from the Hudson River. There will be, again, different frequency bands. You have high, medium, and low. And I'm going to make my dad really proud, and I'm going to be the band director for this next one. Okay, here's some real data. Take a look at it so you see what you got going on here. Low, do you see what you do? Yep. Medium, do you see what you do? High, this is going to be a tough one for you. You good?
I think I can swing this.
All right, and do you want to be our, you want to
I'm just going to be an arrow. That's
yeah,
all
all right, start over here at 0 time. All right, let's go. This is our piece. We will begin. All right, bell, a little bit all the time, a little bit all the time. There we go, there we go. There. Let her rip, Kenji. There we go. A little bit all the time on the bell, a little bit all the time. Yes, Kenji, all right.
Gotta dig it.
Make it a good one, Kenji, bring it home. Yeah. Yeah!
I just want to say, great work on that whistle. Sometimes it's the empty part of the canvas that really counts.
All right, on my maritime band, you may put your instruments down. You've done your good work. What a performance. And you can sit down and Okay, so what we notice is that in this, 45 or 50 seconds of audio recorded data from below the Hudson River, we have two different, very distinct noises. So this comes from two different species of fish. This higher sound that we had on the bell is freshwater drum chorus, which we hear very frequently in the Hudson. I'm going to play you what this really sounds like now, so you get a chance to hear it. I'm not sure how loud it's going to be, so bear with me for a second. All right, could you hear it? Yeah, like a snoring monster. All right, and then at a very different frequency band, down here with the gong, we have the Atlantic sturgeon. This one, you almost feel it more than you hear it. So get ready for this one. This one is absolutely breathtaking. I'm going to do it again. That's nice, right? All right.
Personally, I couldn't tell the difference between that and Kenji's gong.
Thank you. I chose well with the musician and the instrument then, apparently. All right, so that's another way of sharing our data, right? So that was a multi-sensory experience. We had some audience participation, captive audience, right? You were listening a little more deeply and carefully with that. Now I have a story. All right, so when we put out our recordings, we got these examples of Atlantic sturgeon. We were very excited, but we wanted to make sure it was a species-verified vocalization. So we have this hydrophone that we brought down to the Bear Bluffs fish hatchery in South Carolina, put it in their big tub where they have some captive Atlantic sturgeons that are spontaneously spawning, and they said they'd let us know when they spawn. So the recorder's just there going for a few weeks, and then they're like, all right, they spawned, they sent it back to us, we looked at the data. We found one day where this rumbling, thundering noise was occurring. And it was, looking at the data, it was August 19th. And I was like, ding. That's a special date for me. did not pass by, like unnoticed. It's like that must have been a full moon. We looked, sure enough, it's a full moon. The reason I noticed it is because on August 20th, my daughter was born on a full moon. Then, 3 years later, August 19th, my son was born on a full moon. And if anyone knows what the full moon in August is, that's the sturgeon moon. Yeah. So it really made me ask myself, like, am I a sturgeon?
Was I?
I think you've answered that question.
All right, take it home, Bowser.
Now, well, it's not about me. Now, it's about you. We have one more case study, but we want you to pay extra special attention to this because we're going to ask you to come up with your own story, multi-sensory explanation. We're going to challenge you to a little fishery feud, perhaps. We're going to start with a species that has already come up this morning, the round goby. And today's special story comes from a great group of researchers, including Kelsey, who's in the crowd somewhere. There we go, right on. Thank you for your great work with round gobies. Round goby, this introduced species that in the Hudson River, we've been watching and hearing these stories of them marching from the Great Lakes across the Erie Canal, then into the Hudson River, and here they are. And so many questions abound with this fish. For example, the Hudson's an estuary. What is salt water going to do to round goby populations? The estuary fluctuates in terms of temperature. Sometimes the further south you go, there's a temperature gradient, seasonal temperature gradients. Does temperature affect round gobies? Do these multiple variables have multiple effects on round gobies? So many questions. Thank goodness Kelsey and her team were there to answer some of these questions. What did they find?
All right, so here we have some of their findings. Kelsey, help me out if I do this wrong, okay? All right, we're looking at the proportion of round goby that survive with different treatments. Okay, so along the bottom, we have a salinity gradient. We have fresh water over here by Bowser, and on this end over here, we have salt water over here by Bowser. We have, at the top, 100% of the fish have survived in this treatment, and at the bottom, none of the fish have survived in this treatment. Okay, and then we have 3 different temperature experiences, we'll call them. Cold over here in blue, where many of them survived, regardless of the salinity they're in. And then a medium and a high, or temperature of water, where there was a precipitous drop in survivability at those higher temperatures and higher salinities when combined.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. Thank you, Kelsey. That's great data. Now it's time to take that data and turn that into some information. Turn that into even something that you're willing to come up on stage and tell us about. Perhaps a small story. Perhaps something using anything you have at your disposal. This water bottle, a random person's phone. Whatever the heck you can for a little episode of Fishery Feud. So, what we'd like you to do, well, don't worry, we'll put the slide back up with the data. But once we do, we're going to give all of you 5 minutes. Pair up, triple up if you feel like it, and communicate, first of all, how would you communicate this graph to a fisheries audience? Basically us. It should be pretty simple, right? This is what we do. Then challenge yourself. How could you tell this as a story? How could you tell this as a multi-sensory experience? And don't overthink that phrase, just like using visuals, using sound, using movement. How could you tell that story to a wider audience? Maybe a non-fisheries audience. We will then choose a couple of willing teams to come up, show us your multi-sensory experience, and compete for valuable prizes on the Fishery Feud. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Time out. No. I'm going to ask that question again.
Are you ready for this?